welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a few things for my father-in-law who's just come out of hospital, so stick with me while I cook up a few bits and pieces. Okay, so we're going to start with cheese scones. First things first, stick your oven on to gas mark 7. There we go. Line a tray with baking parchment and get everything out that you need. So flour, margarine, cheese, a bit of yogurt or milk, some salt, some baking powder and some mustard. This is my usual recipe for cheese scones, my Never Fail Cheese Scones, which he loves. So we're going to put 10 ounces of flour in here. On top of that, we need to have a raising agent. So we're going to pop in there some baking powder. Half a teaspoon of baking powder goes into our 10 ounces of self-raising flour. On top of that, about half a teaspoon of salt. You can reduce this if you wish, it's up to you. There we go. And we're going to sieve those together with a teaspoon of mustard powder. You can use mustard powder or you could use paprika or leave it out altogether, it's up to you, but I find mustard powder helps with the bringing out of the flavour of the cheese. Okay, make sure you get rid of your lumps. Try not to miss this part, it is important. Now you need, okay, for 10 ounces, approximately 2.5 to 3 ounces of fat. And in this instance, I'm using stalk margarine, which I find to be about the best thing for this kind of thing. So you want 3 ounces of margarine, so that's 1.5, well 1.2, 2.2, 2.8, I'm never any good at measuring these things, 2.9, 3. Mix in your fat into your flour. So I use for this my handy dandy pastry slicer, which I find really works really well. So take your time and just go through it. It is important to make sure it is mixed in well. It's the little things that you do at this stage that make your scones turn out really well. I have to say, the thing with making scones, as with anything else really that's on the sweet line, it's all about the science and how things react with things. So it's important that you follow recipes as much as possible when it's baking. Nearly got there now, as you can see. Not many lumps in there. Give it a shake. And if any lumps pop to the top, just go over them. That's a good tip for you. And we're going to add our cheese now. Now you want 3 ounces of cheese. So I've got red Leicester cheese here, that's what I'm going to be using, but you can use any hard cheese that you like really. Keep away from the softer cheeses, they definitely don't work. So I've got red Leicester in this instance, and we need approximately 3 ounces of red Leicester in our 10 ounce mixture. As a friend did who did this, friend, you know who you are, they put 8 ounces in error. Don't do that. You'll end up with nothing but cheese. So 3 ounces of cheese, nipping in there, so 2.4, 2.9, 3. We're going to take a fork and cover all of the cheese in the flour mixture. That stops your cheese from going to the bottom when you're baking. And then pop a hole in the middle of your mixture. So pop your bowl to one side for a second. We're going to weigh out 90 grams of yogurt. Just give it a stir. So, let's see how much 90 grams is. So, 90 grams. about 3 ounces. And to that we need to add 1 large egg. So in that goes. Make sure you don't get any shell in there. And then mix it in as best you can. And when it's evenly incorporated, like so, pop it into your scone mixture. And try and get all of your end, or as much as you can. Taking your fork, start to mix the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Now, the thing with this is you need to do as little mixing as you can with this. So just gently pulling it together. When you've been doing these a while, you can kind of see when you need more fluid. And my husband hasn't been shopping, so we haven't got any milk. So if we haven't got any milk, what we're going to do is add a bit more yoghurt. So just a little bit. I prefer not to add yoghurt, but if it's the only thing you've got, get it added. So there's about a tablespoon there, and I'm just gonna give it another mix. And then I'm going to get my hands in there to see how it is. We can adjust as we go. So make sure your hands are clean and get them in. And just pull it together gently. You'll be able to tell by looking at your hands whether it's too wet or not. If it's too wet, you need to add a little bit more flour, but not a lot. Don't add too much, else the ingredients will go off. If it's dry, like this one is, you can see here that it's quite dry in the bottom. It's time to add a little bit more. We'd usually add, a few tablespoons of milk, but we'll add some yoghurt and see how we get on. And keep going. We're just pushing it together at this stage. We go. So just roll it around. I'm not pressing here, I'm just rolling to incorporate. And then give it a little bit of a knead, not a lot, just until it comes together nicely and it's not parting anywhere. Right, that's our, as you can see, that's our cheese scone mixture done. Now put your bowl to one side, and it's up to you how you do this next bit, but you can either put flour down on your work surface and work from there, or you can do what I do, because I hate mess, even though there's a little bit there because of the flour. Put a bit of parchment paper down and pop your dough on top and then just press down. And what we're going to do now is make our scones. So, taking a pastry cutter and a little bit of flour. Where have I put my flour? I don't know, people. A little bit more flour, not a lot, we don't need a lot, but a little dredging over the top and a little bit to the side to rub our cutter in. So put your cutter in it, watch your sleeves, press it down a bit and then cut. Now it's up to you what size cutter you use, but I'm using, I think it's 2-inch. It'll make about 8 scones, I think. Maybe slightly less because these are deeper. You can make them as deep as you wish or as thin as you wish. I like the deep ones, I've got to be honest. You can either egg wash them, milk wash them, or leave them as they are. I tend not to wash them, so we're going to pop them in the oven. Gas mark 7 for 15 minutes. So these are my scones that have come out the oven. As you can see, they are amazing as always, and that's what my father-in-law is going to enjoy. So I've set my oven to gas mark 4, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be making some bread and butter pudding, but with a bit of tipple inside it because he loves this. My father-in-law absolutely adores bread and butter pudding. So first things first, I'm going to grease baking dish. This is my pie dish. And I'm going to liberally butter it, grease it, whatever you want to call it, with butter. My hands are clean, by the way. And now what we're going to do is I'm taking, this is a 750 gram panettone that we got for Christmas. Oh. And we're going to, if I can get into it, I'm going to have half of this. I'm going to cut it in half, if I can get in. Okay, so I'm going to cut this in half, which will be about 350 grams of panettone we're using here. So, nice big knife down the middle. And what we're going to do is use half of it and put into our pie dish. So, big chunks we want nice cubes of this. This is super fresh, it's lovely. So big cubes, pop it in. If you need to use more than 350 grams, that's okay, don't worry. Just pop it in. It's whatever works for you on this. I do like a panettone, I've got to say. Go to coffee every Sunday morning at Nero, where I live. And we have coffee and panettone on a Sunday morning. Very civilised, really. As you can see, it's fairly thickly cut. It's about 1 inch across when I cut it. And we want about inch cubes, I would have said, give or take. Next we need to get some mincemeat in there. Now I like to use mincemeat instead of sugar. Give it a good stir, if you can. And we're going to take little blobs of this and pop it on top of our panettone. You don't have to use a lot, just whatever you think, because this is going to sweeten and flavour our pudding a bit. You get nice little blobs of it here and there. You need a couple of ounces of this. I find that the panettone is fairly sweet to start off with, so we don't really need any extra sugar in here. So once you've got your panettone and your mincemeat sorted, pop it to one side for a moment. Now we're going to get our custard mixture sorted. So into a jug I'm going to put 100 ml of Baileys. Yes, Baileys. So you've got 100 ml of Baileys, followed by 3 whole eggs. So that's 1, 2, 3, plus an egg yolk, and 200 ml of Elmley of double cream, which I've got here. All in. And then give it a whisk. Try not to make a mess, of course. Now you can of course use a traditional recipe for bread and butter pudding with bread, butter, etc. But if you've got, like me, making a mess, if you've got Baileys lying around and some bits and pieces left over from Christmas, it's a good way to use it up, to be fair. And absolutely tastes amazing, so, you know, give it a go. Once you've done that, and you've made a mess like I have, get a cloth and clean it up. Oh dear, what a life. There we go, put that in the wash. All you need to do now is add a little bit of milk, just up to a pint. There we go. it helps the mixture soak into the panettone. Sorry, I am terrible, absolutely terrible at thinking while I'm doing something. We women are supposed to be multitaskers, but right. Once you've done that, bring over your panettone mixture with your mincemeat and gently pour your mixture into your bowl, all over. Ooh, nearly. Be careful though not to make a mess like me. Okay, there we go. So we'll leave that for half an hour to soak into our panettone. So once your panettone has been sitting for half an hour, it's ready to go in the oven. Gas mark 4 for 30 to 40 minutes. Alexa, set timer for 30 minutes. And then we'll check.